All right, e4, e5. Let's try this again. You gonna do the same boring shit? No. All right, Scotch. All right, well, transposes to a two knights defense. It's the Scotch Gambit, but two knights defense. I know the normal move there is d5. That's like the main move, but this knight g4 move is very underrated, quite tricky, and I get a lot of people with it. It's not unsound either, if you really look into it. Hmm. All right. You got You got that. I'll give you that. But we're going to have a trade here, I guess. I'll just pre-move recapture. Okay, we did trade. Now this knight can always come back here. Bishop can come here. Rook sliding over here, possibly. Okay. What do we do first? First we'll just kick this queen out. You know. First we just kick the queen out. Now we'll go here. Knight. Bishop. Okay. Bishop on pre. Where do you go? Probably e2. Yeah, best move. If he went somewhere else, I would have had bishop takes h3, pawn takes, and then knight check forking. But bishop e2 was the correct decision. Now I need to get my rooks connected. Notice I'm up a pawn, though, in this position. You know? I am up a pawn. My king is on f8. My rooks are separated. I do need to remedy that, which I will do as soon as possible. But as compensation for the king on f8 with the rooks separated, I have a pawn. And this queenside majority is ready to roll. b5, kick that knight back to the stupid a3 square. I mean, he could take my knight first and then get his knight in here, but I still like this pawn majority, you know, trading off pieces. It's not the worst when you're down material. When you're up material, not the worst. I'm also still a little bit uncoordinated, and this helps. You know, if you're trading off my uncoordinated pieces for your coordinated pieces, I have to be happy about that, right? You have no more light squared bishop because you traded it off. My rooks are now connected. My king looks pretty safe on f8. Yes, you might have g4 coming, but you know what? Yeah, keep this whole thing covered. No entry. And no free pawn. Now I'm liking my position. Now I'm really liking it. I don't think he has the compensation he had for his pawn deficit. I think I'm in the driver's seat now. That's my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like I'm the one in the driver's seat. All right, let's trade off a pair of rooks. Why not? Let's trade off a pair of rooks. You give a check, I'll block with my rook. Queen is covering all these pawns. I'm just going to take a free pawn now. Now I'm up 2 pawns. Yep. Now you're going to give the check. The rook still comes back to block. Oh, wow. Okay. All right, fine. But, like, come on. Really? Is this really killing me? I'm threatening mate now. Now I'm threatening mate. Okay. Where's the follow-up here? Yeah, you see, that's your follow-up. I'm not even gonna give him any counterplay. I'm just taking this. This is covering this diagonal completely. All right, that worked out. Had a miss, but I would like to review this. Give a little, you know, example in the two knights defense. Let's do the analysis instead. You know, e4, e5. Why does this screen look like this? What is going on? Knight f3, knight c6, bishop c4, knight f6. I know it started out as a Scotch game, so it started out knight c6, d4 there, and Scotch gambit. But then knight f6 transposes right back to the two knights defense. The normal way for this to arise is after e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop c4, you play knight f6, two knights defense, and then they play d4. Now, when you take, there are basically 2 moves here. There's castling, where you have 2 choices. You can take this pawn, which is the anti-Max Lang, or you can play bishop c5, which is the Max Lang. Both require theoretical knowledge. Just briefly, anti-Max Lang, what happens is they immediately pin this knight to the king, and so you defend with d5, and they hit you with this surprise move, bishop takes d5. Queen takes, and what's the deal with that? Well, they have knight c3 here. Okay? Now, after knight c3, obviously you can't take because the queen is pinned. You can't take with the knight because the knight is pinned. So you have to move the queen. The newer courses are recommending queen d7. I'm not a fan. When I look at that analysis, I don't see how you play for a win. Queen h5, to me, is a better way to play for a win. They have to play here, but now they're threatening all sorts of discoveries, knight here, double check, checking with the rook, checking with the knight, winning. You have to cover that. And now bishop g5 is one of the normal ways where they try to sneak in with bishop f6. Now, John Ems, in his old book, like Open Games is Black, recommends h6 here. And then after they sneak in, you play some stuff. But I don't like his suggestion. I think the old and more normal move of bishop d6 is better. For two reasons. One, the main line is knight takes, pawn takes, and, obviously knight can't take this pawn because it's protecting the bishop, so bishop moves here so that this pawn is on pre, and the queen just swings over here, and you make it a little bit difficult for white to regain his material advantage, and, the game is essentially equal, but you could really press. The other thing with this bishop d6 move is that if white tries for this little bishop f6 trick, which obviously you don't want that, goodbye queen, you have a great move here with bishop takes. Oh, I didn't want that. Bishop takes h2, check. And after the knight takes, first off, this is just outright winning the piece. So he can't do that. King f1, you're coming in like this, check. Come on, this is dead. So he takes with the knight, but then you get to trade queens. Queen takes, rook takes, and pawn takes. And after knight takes check, well, there's no more fork on the queen. You simply move your king over to f8 and count the pawns. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for white. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for black. Black is up a clean pawn. Yes, the rooks are separated, but, after some simple move like even h5 coming up here, you're going to untangle. It's even saying that with this, I can take this pawn. I don't see how I get away with that, but I don't see this. How do you get away with this? D3? Wow. And if he takes D2 and this is unstoppable. Okay, man, it's just, the computer sometimes. That's instinctive that I wouldn't want to take that because I feel my bishop gets trapped. But apparently that's an excellent move. Anyway, you will untangle. You're up a pawn. You remain up a pawn. And there's that trick. Going back. Instead, after castling of knight takes, which is the anti-max slang. By the way, knight takes, there is also this little Nachmanson gambit, which you must be aware of. Jonathan Trance is a big fan of it. He even wrote a chessable course on it. You could take this knight, but you need to know the follow-up. After they take, the key is going to be a king to f6 move. They take, and they give the queen check. You have to know to play your king up to f6, okay? Now note, this knight on e4 is currently guarding g5, so this stuff doesn't work because the knight would simply take it. And this queen is not hanging because the knight is holding it. But if they take this, you must realize that this is a threat. So a lot of people end the analysis at king f6. It's not over yet. That's a threat. You have to know this move. Bishop e7. Held by the queen and held by the knight, and your king gets at it. And now you're winning. Just a little thing on the refutation of the Nachmanson Gambit. That you have to play no king f6, and after the knight is taken, you have to know bishop e7 to not get skewered with bishop g5. Okay, after castling, there is bishop c5, and this leads to the max line. e5, d5. Here we go. Pawn takes knight, pawn takes bishop, okay? And there are several moves here. One of the moves is the immediate f takes, and then bishop g5. You play bishop e7, and when they take, you have to take with the king. Rook e1 check, bishop there. You get some people that play like queen e2, threatening to take this pawn. You play queen d5, and then they play knight b2, piling up on this pawn. Because this bishop is pinned, you unpin the bishop by playing king f6. And this is just going to take that pawn and sneak back to h8, and black is actually slightly better in those positions. That's the plan I've always gone with. But pawn taking on g7 immediately is not the main move. The main move is rook e1 check, bishop here, and knight here. And now it is very important that you know to play queen d5. Why is that? Well, this bishop here can actually get in trouble after knight captures and pawn captures. Queen would come. So if you play queen takes f6, that's a blunder. You see? It's showing a blunder. Knight takes. And after you take, queen check, and swoops over and scoops up that bishop. So you have to know to play queen d5 here. Now, there is the main move is knight c3. Can't take because queen takes queen, and this bishop is still pinned to the king. So you have to slide over here. And after knight e4, we castle queenside. And now, g4 is the main move. Queen comes back. Note the queen has to stay on this line because of this bishop. Knight takes bishop is always a threat. Some people play here. Queen d5 and f takes g7. And here's the thing. Instinctively, you would want to play rook g8. Then they play knight f6. And you go back. Now, if they took the rook, and rook takes back, yeah, they got the exchange, but now you're going to get this, and this is too exposed. It's actually better for black. But if they go back here, you got to go back and forth, back and forth. And I don't know about you guys, but I do not play an opening that can result in a draw. And so, after this move, the key to playing this is you do not play rook g8. What do you mean you don't play rook g8? I mean, you don't play rook g8. I mean, you play bishop takes g4. I know this looks insane. Let them take the rook. We take, and yes, we are a rook down. But I assure you black is better. This is not new theory, by the way. This rook sacrifice of bishop takes g4 and let them take the rook was known back in 1895. I believe it's 1895. I don't have my books on me, but I believe this was analyzed in 1895 by Leonhardt. Leonhardt. So this has been known for, 130 years already. Just an example, like, okay, yeah, knight f6 is giving as the best move, but you already get a piece back there, and you're you can't really say anything good about that if that's given as the best move there. But look, I can't go into all the little moves here for what just happened? All right. I can't go into all those little moves there, but what I can say is you should, if you're interested in playing the Max Lang, because you will get people there. There are people that actually, on YouTube videos, that actually recommend that move. So let's get back into the Max Lang here. Rook check, bishop e6, knight g5. Remember the trap, knight takes and queen checks, so you have to play queen d5. Knight c3, queen runs over. Knight c4, queenside castle, g4. You can't back up because this bishop is hanging, so you have to stay there. And after after f takes, oh no, after that's like the main line. After knight f3, I think, yeah. Knight f3, queen d5, pawn takes pawn. You play bishop here, you sack the rook, and look at this position. Think of moves for white that seem reasonable. Okay, like, let's say bishop f4, right? This is still covered. This is still covered. I'm going to back up and, you know, cover the G file. Well, rook over. G file is blocked. Knight e5. What do you mean, knight e5? Well, knight can't take. Bishop takes queen. Bishop takes. Bishop f3. Check. And you win the queen. So knight e5 is already putting pressure there. Knight back doesn't do anything because you have 1, 2, 1, 2, 3 attackers, right? And you have 1, 2 defenders. So, check. And you're just outright winning. Bishop f4 doesn't work. Rook g8, and you're already threatening to take this knight. What if the king slides over there, right? Then bishop takes is check, but only with the bishop, not with the rook, and the queen can recapture, right? Well, kick that knight. Knight goes back. It's all held, right? c3. And now you're attacking this knight. If this knight moves, this knight falls, you're winning. So, given the two options, I play the Max Lang as black, but I know that that's not really recommended. So I showed that anti-Max Lang also. But now, let's go into what happened in the game. In the game, he didn't castle, and he certainly didn't, after castling and taking, play that Nocklinson Gambit, which, remember, take. Wrong move, not there. Check, king f6. And if they take, what's the move? You remember? It's bishop e7. Because they're threatening that, and this stops it. And then you're just winning. Anyway, he didn't do that. What did he do? He played e5. This is known as the modern variation. And the normal move is d5, counterattacking, similar to the Max Lang. However, ever since I've been playing this for quite a number of years now, I've had some great success with knight g4. Okay? There are a few places this can go. First off, there's queen e2. You then play queen e7. And then they play bishop f4. And there are 3 different moves here that you could play. f6 is a perfectly good and normal move to play. If they take, you can simply take back with the knight. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You're up a pawn. You're doing well. Yeah, they could trade queens and get the pawn back, but that's actually not a good move because d6 traps this bishop in. Note that its route is covered by the knight. Its escape route. So black is actually much better, close to winning there if they did take that. Besides f6, d6 is also a move fighting against that center. And yeah, this might look ugly with these double pawns, but it is an extra pawn, and the computer slightly prefers black. And then there is, computer's not even showing it. But there is a move that international master Silas Esben Lund came up with in this position. Instead of the usual f6 or d6, he came up with this Evans Gambit style b5. And okay, the computer is giving it a question mark. But it's giving it a question mark, and the analysis is showing like at most with like perfect play. Initially plus 0.6, but like on further analysis, it looks as it goes deeper 0.5. Most people are going to take this. And then you're really doing well after Queen B4. What do? They play C3? Yeah, thank you. Because after knight takes C3, hello, you're up a piece. This queen, bishop takes is a mistake. Taking that pawn, you see, it's a miss. Queen B4, excellent move. Attacking B2, checking the king. C3 is what defends it laterally with the queen, but then when you take, now, yeah, you might get some people that would play bishop back here, and for those individuals, yeah, you'll have to then play f6, okay? What if they take there? Well, that's still a mistake because this is out and you pin, you throw in the check, and you take, and after, say, b3, bishop c5, computer likes black better here. So, you know, they'd have to basically play like a computer to survive this supposed question mark move after knight g4. The other main move after knight g4, the other main move is to castle. And that is where you play d6. They take, you take, they give check, and here you must play king to f8. I don't care what the computer is saying right now. This chess.com computer, let's just say it's not the best, okay? And here, okay? And a lot of people do this, see the bishop under attack, and instead of moving it, taking with the queen. And that loses immediately. Because you play knight f3 check, you're forking the king and the queen. Yeah, they could take it. Then bishop h2 check. And after they take that, you take here, and you're attacking the bishop, but you're also attacking this pawn. So after they save their bishop, well, yeah, now you're just winning. So they have to, like, what? Save this and give up that, you're just winning now. So I've had a lot of people do that. Yeah, they could play bishop d5, this saying is best, and you could kick it, and we'll go back, and, well, already now that's apparently bad because of h5. Yeah, I mean, they still can't take this because knight takes bishop check and bishop h2 check. So, you know, it's a good position. And we had in the game, what did he play? Did he play bishop f4? I believe he did. I believe he played bishop f4, where d6 is also the correct move. And that's not really in many of the books, but there was an article in one of the New in Chess yearbooks. You know, they had some great opening articles. Many years ago, one of the New in Chess yearbooks had an article on this line of knight g4. And they included bishop f4 and let you know that d6 was in fact the correct move there. And you see it, the computer. Well, I don't know if you could see that because I only show the board in my stream, but yeah, you can't really see that. But the computer is already thinking it's like +1 for black in this position. So it's a good. Knight g4 is a good try. But before I end this little thing about the two knights defense with d4, I must mention bishop takes f7. Has to be mentioned. King takes. Knight g5 check. King back to g8. And there's two moves here. First, we'll go with the more common. They see that they take, give check, and regain their piece. When they do that, you kick the knight first. Important. Kick the knight first. Don't let this knight hang around here guarding these squares. Kick the knight first, then d6. And after queen e4, d takes e5, knight takes e5. You know, the old book by Jan Pinsky on the two knights defense gives queen e8 and says something like, and the position is clear as mud or something like that. Well, now with modern computers, you could see that it's like -1.2, but they think that even stronger than that is queen f6, which after knight takes, you actually take with the pawn. And there's no real attack. It's giving like -1.6 here. So you're up the pawn still. That's one of the common features of this knight g4 line is that you're up pawn. And in a lot of the lines. And white doesn't really have compensation for it. But there is one more very tricky line that needs to be mentioned. e5, knight g4, bishop takes, king takes, knight g5 check, king back. And instead of taking the knight, they simply play queen f3. You're like, what the hell is this? Oh, they're threatening mate over here and threatening my knight? Hey, I'll just save my knight and that's guarded. Nope. Queen check and you are getting mated. The only move you have is here and that's mate. So, this queen f3 move is very tricky. Look at the position. How do you get out of this? Anyone know? It's actually given in two books, this queen move. First off, FM Asa Hoffman actually plays this queen f3 move. He believes it's in no books, but that's incorrect. It is in two separate books. There's this little pink book called The Two Knights Modern 5v5 by Eugene Salome. That contains this line. And there is also a Two Knights Defense book by Edward Gufeld, which I believe is in German. I own it. It's like a little hardcover. And that includes this move. And the way you escape is you notice that in these variations, it's because the king has no escape, because this bishop is in the way. So what you do, if they don't recapture the knight and they try for this tricky queen f7 or queen d5, they're threatening queen to either one of those squares, is you give your king space. Bishop b4 check. Now, c3, attacking the bishop. You have to save yourself now. Knight on g takes e5 works. Yes, this mate is guarded, but if he gives this check, king f8, if he takes this, you're just outright winning. He has nothing. So, yeah, and that's apparently queen d5 is his best there. Queen d5, but now you have the f8 square. So he has no mate here because the knight is guarding, held by this knight. If he... Oh, he can't take there. I was going to say if he takes there to attack the knight, but no, that's pinned by the bishop. So he takes the bishop, you simply check. You know, you simply give that check and come here. This simply loses. Oh, wrong arrows, but you see, it's a 4. So he can't take that knight. That knight is immune. And what does he have? What does he really have here? Gives there, you know? King takes, king takes. Well, you just take, and he can't take this pawn because of the 4. So it's the bishop b4 check is the key move there. But it had to be mentioned because that went back in the Max Lang. It had to be mentioned because after this, you're going to get a lot of people that will play bishop takes and then knight check. And you know to hide back in g8, if they take the knight, first, get that knight out of there, then play d6. And you're doing well. You're doing very well here. And if they give the check, knight g4, oop, knight g4, check, and check. You hide there, and they play this tricky queen f3 move. Give yourself space. Bishop check. c3, and now you can take that, and you are good. You're much better. That little trick fails because they have nothing else to speak of. They could castle, You play queen e7. Say they do that. Yeah, now you're just outright winning. All right, queen e7. Say they take that. Well, you take there. Queen takes. You have knight c2, forking again. They don't really have anything good here. You know, you got to keep in mind they played bishop takes f7, and you took it. They gave up a piece, so you don't have to be like, oh no, this bishop is hanging and everything. You have to get your pieces out, and you're doing very well there. So that's it for the two knights defense with e5. I will, finish the stream now, and I hope to see you all next time. Take care.